disease exists, often by taking symptoms that have existed for a long time, like I think shyness was one of them. Sadness, was another. But I think the best one is what's known as shaky leg syndrome, and you've probably seen this in perhaps elderly people or people with health problems. They'll sit there and their leg won't stay still. Well, I think it was GlaxoSmithKline. I think it was them, the manufacturer of AZT, came out with a drug which I think may have been an antidepressant, which could reduce the shaking of your leg. Well, I mean,
it's not called Restulex, is it?
Pardon me?
It's not called Restulex, is it?
Restless leg syndrome.
Yeah, but there was a medication called Restulex or Restulex.
Oh, I don't remember the name of the drug, but this is how it works: is you come up with a drug that is unique for a particular syndrome, but it's not really a syndrome that's very serious, or it's not something anybody's thought of, or it's what people think is a normal part of life. So then you define the syndrome, and you establish a charity, which you fund, which promotes the disease. It doesn't mention anything about drugs at all.
Right.
Right. It says, restless leg, shaky leg syndrome is a problem that's recently been recognized, and if you think you have this problem, call your doctor. Well, what they know is that there's only one drug that's been approved for the condition. So if you go to your doctor, they'll look up in their book restless leg syndrome, and they'll say, "Oh, you're lucky. There's a new drug that just came out last year. Isn't that amazing? That at the same time the drug came out, you're coming to me asking me about this condition." There must be a lot more people with it who've been suffering with this for centuries and have never had anything to do. So that's how you create a new disease, and that's how you drive people towards the doctors in a subtle way, so that they think they've discovered the solution, as opposed to following the trail of footsteps that were placed there carefully so you would follow them.
Yeah, nice technique.
It's a very powerful technique, and it's a good way for them to reuse drugs in the United States, which of course is the most important drug market in the world. Despite the slogan "Just say no to drugs," it's the most drugged country in the world.
Yeah.
There's two ways you can get control of a drug. The first is through patents, and everybody knows about that. If you invent a new drug, you can get a patent on it. I think it's 17 years. But also the Food and Drug Administration has what they call exclusive marketing rights, and those are in some ways easier to get. And you can get exclusive marketing rights and possibly patents by taking an old drug and applying it to a new condition. So these new conditions are really important because patents run out after some time, and so does exclusive marketing. So you need to come up with a new use for your drugs that you can then register with the FDA, and then you can get this period of exclusive marketing. And during the period of exclusive marketing, of course, you can charge 10 times more for the pill than what you'll be able to do if you had generic competition.
Yes. Well, David, obviously you and I are in the wrong business, because we should be working for the drug companies or something, or coming up with some techniques.
Yes, I know you're joking. Yeah. Because there are things that are worth more than money.
Yeah.
And I think self-respect and happiness are two of those things. And, I've been fascinated, growing up in England, I've always been fascinated by rich and wealthy people, because none of the people I knew in England were rich and wealthy, but I knew they were out there somewhere. And, the royalty are always quite fascinating. But one of the most fascinating things to me is how unhappy so many of those people are. I mean, they have...
Who, the British?
Pardon me?
The British?
Well, not the British in general, but the rich.
I don't know. I haven't met any unhappy rich people. I've met lots of happy...
You can read books about how unhappy the rich are. I mean, if you read about the kings and queens of England, you read about a lot of unhappy lives. And, I mean, just look at the current royal family.
Yeah.
Prince Charles is not allowed to marry the woman he loves, and Princess Diana, being persuaded to marry a man she didn't love, and this incredible level of unhappiness. And yet the average middle-class person, picks up the the picture of the latest attractive young member of the royal family and say, oh, what a lovely life. They have all the money they want. They live in a palace. It's got to be wonderful, but it's not always wonderful. And I think these powerful figures in AIDS, many of them deep down are probably really unhappy. And if we can help a few people, then at least we can have our self-respect and the happiness that comes from helping somebody deal with a very destructive system. If we can help people resist the system successfully, I think that's a pretty good reward.
It certainly is. And I think your approach is good. You're bringing science to people in easy to understand terms, and you are communicating with the world. And you're also trying to get people to think for themselves about the AIDS view.
Yeah, that's a good summary. Is think for yourself and make your own decisions. That's what I want. I'm not trying to tell people what to think. That's completely against my philosophy.
Well, I think your podcasts are very good, and I'm glad that you continued the work after Christine's untimely demise.
Yeah,
and I listen to it all the time. I can't wait for the next episode.
There will definitely be more coming out. And thanks for having me on your podcast.
I'm very, very happy to be talking to you, David. I appreciate your expertise and your time and your compassion for the people who find themselves HIV positive. And I think there will be more and more people like yourself. I mean, my own approach is just meditate, follow a good tradition, and stick with it for the length of the illness, or if we could call it an illness. And just stay positive and do work with something that does yield results. You have to keep the immune system healthy. And it's a psychological battle more than anything else.
Yeah, and people know that the immune system is a huge psychological component to the immune system. And, of course, HIV is a psychological attack on you. And so people have to overcome the psychological barriers in order to regain their physical health.
Well, on that note, I'll say again, thank you very much, and we'll keep in contact. And
definitely, John.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay in New Orleans.
Thanks. I'm going to try to work on my southern drawl as well.
Yeah, I need to.
You all have a good day now.
Yeah, I'll take Ken out of here. Thanks a lot, David.
Okay, we'll see you, John.
Take care. Right, bye.